Hey everyone, it's Ember, and today we are talking about the Apple family. More specifically, we're going to be talking about how the Apple siblings came to be and how their parents tragically died. If you haven't seen my last video discussing everyone's ages, I recommend you watch that first because I worked pretty hard on it and plan on referencing some things I said in that video. Anyway, let's get straight into it. We're going to start at the very beginning. In the episode The Perfect Pair, we're introduced to the characters Bright Mac and Pear Butter.
Are you saying our mother was a pair?
Yeah. We also get to see a little snippet of them as foals. In this snippet, we can see that neither of them have big eyes yet, but we can also see that both of them are out of diapers, walking, and even comfortably forming complex sentences. That last part is super important. Comfortably forming complex sentences. Last video, I talked about how 1 to 2 in pony years is like 3 to 4 in human years. If this is the case, then that means that they would begin speaking around 1 to 2 and be completely comfortable with complex sentences by 4 or 5 years old. Since we know that ponies have big eyes by age 5 and Pear Butter and Bright Mac don't have big eyes yet in this clip, this means that they have to be 4 at the time. Now let's skip forward to this next clip.
Happy 131,456 hour anniversary, darling.
What? That's way longer than we've been together.
I know, but it's the anniversary of the first time I called you Buttercup.
Happy 131,456 hour anniversary. That is 5,477 days, aka 15 years. And Bright Mac said it was from the first time he called her Buttercup, which would make them about 19 years old at this point. This would also make them 19 when they get married. They don't show any signs of aging in the flashback and going to seed, so we know they started a family pretty quick. Now, you could probably say that Big Mac was the thing after they got married, but I've got my own little headcanon in mind. Does anyone else think this scene is a bit weird?
I'm not sure what we'll do, but I'm sure of us. So sure that I'd marry you today.
I would too.
What is going on? What's with all these hair candles?
Pear Butter, where are you? You're supposed to be packing. What are you two doing?
Ma, grandpere, Buttercup and I are in love.
What?
And we'll be married as soon as Mayor says...
Oh, I now pronounce you husband and wife.
Doesn't that feel nice? Mwah.
What are you talking about, married? You two can't be married.
We're moving. You gotta stick with your family.
But the apples are my family now too.
Are you choosing to be an apple over being a pear?
Are you making me choose?
Yes, I am.
Then yeah, I guess I am.
Fine.
Honestly, it seems a little overly emotional, just a little. But then there's also the fact that Granny automatically goes to comfort Pear Butter. You'd think that after a family feud that lasted literal decades, she'd be a little more guarded for at least a few months after the marriage. I think what really happened was Bright Mac and Pear Butter had a roll in the hay, and then a month or two later, Pear Butter starts feeling sick and emotional all the time. Granny notices these things, and having been through it all herself, knows that something is going on. It's also worth mentioning that Granny appears to be a single mother. If she thinks that Pear Butter is pregnant by Bright Mac and she knows what it's like raising a foal on her own, that would 100% explain this interaction and immediate acceptance into the family. She put her pride aside to keep her grandbaby out of another Bright Mac situation. And before you say, oh, but she didn't approve of their marriage, obviously she didn't approve of their marriage. She didn't even know about it. And Bright Mac doesn't even have his own place. Granny doesn't even know about the pears moving away until Grandpere brings it up in the middle of the ceremony. Anyway, flash forward to a few months after Big Mac is born, Pear Butter ends up pregnant again. After AJ is born, they probably decide they don't want any more children, but are then surprised again 12 years later with Apple Bloom. Pear Butter and Bright Mac are around 32 at this point, and we know that they lived to be 34 because Apple Bloom is 2 in that transition frame and going to seed. And they aren't around when AJ gets her cutie mark, which is a year after the flashback and going to seed. This might also explain why AJ was wanting to go to the city in Cutie Mark Chronicles in the first place. Her parents just died and she didn't want to be on the farm anymore because it was too painful for her. This is probably also why Granny and Big Mac look so sad. Anyway, let's get to how Pear Butter and Bright Mac died. I've seen a lot of people theorize that it was a flood and that Bright Mac flooding the pear farm was foreshadowing, but that can't be possible because Granny would have died too. See, if we look at the episode Leap of Faith, Granny explains that she's terrified of water because as a filly she tried to break the Equestria high diving record and the stunt ended very badly. She also mentions that she can't even paddle fast enough to stay afloat. If there was a flood, she would have drowned, especially with Bright Mac and Pear Butter focusing on saving their children's lives. I think that all the evidence points to Pear Butter and Bright Mac being attacked by timber wolves. Granted, there's not that much evidence, but it would explain why Granny started banging pots together and yelling about the howling timber wolves before the Zap Apple harvest and Family Appreciation Day. I mean, look at her face. That is pure fear, and I'll bet you didn't know that loud noises deter wolves. She wasn't banging those pots together to wake up the family. She was doing that to keep the wolves away from the farm because she probably woke up to them howling. I mean, can you even imagine the trauma she has from most likely being the one to find her own son and daughter-in-law after they've been ripped to shreds by wolves? After going through something like that, I can imagine waking up from even the deepest sleep when you hear howling and immediately running outside to get the wolves away. Plus, we know that the Apple family reunion happened shortly after the Zap Apple harvest, seeing as there aren't any holiday episodes or noticeable season changes between these two episodes in Season 2 and Season 3. If Pear Butter and Bright Mac were killed right before a Zap Apple harvest, it just makes it that much more heartbreaking that the family reunion is right after. Maybe that's why AJ sees the two shooting stars in that episode. That's also probably why she's so determined to make the reunion perfect. It's not just her first time running everything for the reunion, she's doing it in honor of her late parents that were tragically killed when she was 14, much too young to have the running of the reunion passed down to her. And that, my lovelies, is how the Apple siblings came to be and how their parents tragically lost their lives. If you found this video interesting or want to see more like it, please interact with it by liking, commenting, or even subscribing if you feel like it. Thank you all so much for watching, and be sure to stick around for next video where we talk about the potential mental disorders of the main six. I love you guys so much. See you in the next one. Bye!